be. We're Buck here, and welcome back to another episode of Race the Ramen, the show where I attempt to use something unscripted in the amount of time it takes to boil an instant ramen. And today we'll be taking a look at The Suicide Squad, showing now in theaters and on HBO Max. Alright, we're going to start the timer right now. Okay, so, The Suicide Squad. Not to be confused with 2016's Suicide Squad. It's kind of absurd that we're here in like the space of 5 years where they're just essentially rebooting one movie within a universe and giving it the same title. Just on principle, I want to be mad at this movie for that, but I can't be that angry because this actually turned out to be pretty decent. In my opinion, anyway. I mean, I didn't have a lot of expectations going in. I hated the 2016 Suicide Squad. I thought it was one of the worst superhero movies I'd ever seen. I think it's one of the worst DC movies. I think a lot of people think that. And even with James Gunn attached as director, with his great work on the Guardians of the Galaxy films and other works in the past, I was skeptical. I was cautiously optimistic, but wasn't expecting anything great. And I guess I was wrong, because I got something pretty decent. It's basically just what the original premise of the Suicide Squad was meant to give us, is like a group of outcasts, kind of morally gray, more leaning towards bad people, on a mission where they are expendable members of the crew, and we just kind of see them act as crazy people, and it's fun and engaging, and it's all it really needs to be. I wouldn't really call this a deep or profound film on any level, but it's really solid. It's well made, it's well shot, and it's just fun. It was kind of off-putting in the beginning. The very opening, while I kind of understood what they were doing, throwing us through a loop, was a little jarring. I didn't expect this movie to be as violent as it is. It's pretty gory sometimes. People get shot in the face and like electrocuted and ripped in half and all this different stuff. But after a while, I got used to it, and I feel like, in most cases, it was used for effective comedy or actual, dramatic effect to the storytelling. I liked all the characters in it. I thought they had really good chemistry. I loved Peacemaker. John Cena did great as that guy. I liked Idris Elba's character. I thought he was a much better version of Will Smith's character from the original. Polka Dot Man is the best thing I've ever seen. I like King Shark a lot in this. Not necessarily better than the Harley Quinn cartoon incarnation, but he's good. And I really liked the new Ratcatcher too. I thought she was a pretty decent character. I liked her backstory. I thought all of these things came together pretty well. Like, they space out the dramatic and character building stuff throughout the script in a way where it actually feels like the story is what's important, and it actually frames good context and setup for all of the action and stuff later. Builds up on a small start to a much bigger ending, and I feel like it earns it. It's a really solid superhero movie that feels different from a lot of others we've seen. I recommend it. Hopefully that gave you a decent impression of what I think of the movie. It's been out for a little bit, a lot of people have seen it, but apparently even as like top of the box office for the week it came out, it's been getting disappointing numbers, which is unfortunate because I think it's pretty great. I would give The Suicide Squad, 2021, James Gunn, whatever you want to call it, a solid 8 out of 10. If you haven't seen it and you're curious about checking it out, but we're kind of on the fence, I'd say give it a look. The only thing that would stop me from recommending it to everyone is the extreme amount of violence. But if you're looking forward to that kind of thing, you're going to get what you want. Solid story, solid characters, and just a fun, well-made, rewatchable movie. I've seen it twice already, and I might watch it again. So yeah, Suicide Squad gets a recommendation from me. Ooh, I almost forgot. There's a really sick post-credits scene, which, if you don't want any spoilers, I'd say duck out now. But, no joke, they got a really sick thing for the end credits. They actually managed to get Will Smith back to reprise his character from the first Suicide Squad. It's like a really brief clip, but it's pretty great. If you don't want it spoiled for you, then click away now, because I'm about to show it to you, okay? Here it is.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
Let's all go to the lobby to get our
and today we'll be taking a look at events transpiring before, during, and after a high school basketball game. Yes, that is actually the title. Alright, we're going to start the timer right now. Okay, so, events transpiring before, during, and after a high school basketball game, which, for the sake of convenience, I'm just going to continue to refer to as events transpiring going forward. This is a little independent comedy that I've been keeping my eyes on for a while. I think I heard about it on Letterboxd one day, and it just seemed like an intriguing, sort of dry, awkward comedy. It's really grounded and simple. It's basically just what the title implies. It's a little series of vignettes about events taking place before, during, and after a high school basketball game. Specifically, a high school in the middle of Calgary, Canada, filled with a bunch of quiet, kind of awkward teenagers and a bunch of quiet, awkward adults who are the kind of people that you probably remember working at your school when you were growing up. This is so interesting. I found this to be pretty enjoyable. I would definitely also say it's not for everybody. This is a very awkward, slow, dry kind of comedy where it's not really laugh out loud every minute. You're going to laugh out loud a few times, maybe, but mostly you're just going to keep chuckling to yourself. Everything is kind of based on timing and the dynamics between characters. It's pretty interesting. It kind of reminds me of something like Napoleon Dynamite, but less in your face, I guess. It's a situational sort of comedy where it starts off with all the little vignettes of people in different sections of the school before, during, and after this game. And you see how they act and interact with each other, and eventually a lot of these things, come and meet with each other. And it's difficult to describe the appeal of this, honestly. It's extremely simple in the way it's shot. There's not a lot of music. And in general, it's just pretty slow as far as comedies go, even as just generally movies do, which is why I'm so quick to say this isn't for everybody. But if you're on that sort of Napoleon Dynamite or, I don't know, generally awkward Canadian kind of comedy, if you ever watched the show Letterkenny, this might appeal to you on a somewhat similar level. I found the performances overall to be pretty strong. There's really no one in this movie I recognize because it's pretty small scale and unheard of as far as I can tell. It just came out, but yeah, there's no one I recognize in it, but everyone did a pretty good job. The guy who plays that side coach on the main team is pretty good. All the child performances were pretty good. People in the drama club are really fun. There's interesting quotes that'll stick out from this. A lot of relatable scenarios. It gave me kind of a nostalgic feeling watching this because I've always been one of those after school club kind of kids when I was in middle school and high school. This reminded me a lot of that. Hopefully that gave you a decent impression of what I think of the movie. I did ramble a bit, but that's kind of what this movie is. It starts, you're kind of in the middle of a thing, and you're kind of in the middle of the thing when you're done with it. It's not a traditional narrative. It's just a bunch of interesting little side stories that create something interesting in the end. And I'm going to give this movie, for now, I'm confident giving it a strong 7 out of 10. Again, this is probably not going to resonate the same with all of you. I have a very strange sense of humor. But yeah, you like awkward stuff, maybe you like a little bit of Tim and Eric or something. Again, not quite as silly as that, but I really think that this is a decent little movie. And considering that no one's really talking about it, maybe more people should. So yeah, events transpiring before, during, and after a high school basketball game. I forgot to mention where it's streaming. It's on Amazon right now in North America, and I'm pretty sure that's it, but it should be coming out on other platforms sometime down the line, so keep your eye out for it. It's pretty decent. Maybe you'll like it like I did. Now, you might be wondering why I decided to cover this movie in the first place when I never covered Space Jam or The Tomorrow War or any of these other more mainstream, perhaps more interesting to talk about movies. Well, it's simple. It's called Events Transpiring Before, During, and After a High School Basketball Game. I couldn't turn down that title. It's the best title for a movie ever.